One of the classic, if not the classic, structures of storytelling is the tragedy, where you have a character or characters that are doomed from the start, no matter what they do, and they go through all these trials and tribulations, more times than not, trying to avoid the ultimate end of what they're facing, and yet it happens to them anyway. Sometimes even their means by which to escape causes the ultimate end, and it's just, well, it's a tragedy. Well, more or less such is the case here with the film Sidewayz, which deals with this young Latino man who has the nickname Sidewayz, and right off the bat, I'm going to go through this without just revealing the whole plot and everything. Because I don't want to spoil it. But I'll just put it this way. And I mean, actually, looking at the cover, the description on the back, man, I tell you, it pretty much tells the whole story here. But, you got to experience the film to get the full impact of it. But nevertheless, yeah, damn, boy, I tell you, it explains the deal. I mean, and then everybody just calls this guy Sidewayz. It's a terrible story of the origin of his name that, pretty much in a lot of ways puts him on the path of where he is and where he goes and everything. And it's like, don't call him that. I mean, but yeah, he seems to have owned it, after a while, though. His real name's George. And, perhaps you can look at it as he's trying to become George. So it starts up, he's a troubled young man. He lives with his older brother, and his older brother has had to pretty much rise to the fatherhood status here. He's the responsible one, and he's trying to get his head set straight and get a job and all this sort of thing. And but he goes down the wrong path and tries to join a local gang. There's an initiation, but right up at the moment, and certainly since this involved harming someone he knew, he blinks and decides he's not going to do that. So this is one of those things that shows, well, he's not as corrupted or bad as you might have thought, since he was gung ho for this seemingly at the outset. But he's searching for a place for himself and that sort of thing, and that's what leads him there. But when it came down to it, he couldn't do it. He's just not evil, So, but the consequences of that, the gang is upset with him. They are looking to have revenge and make an example of him and all this sort of stuff, and that brings down trouble on the family and endangers his brother, his nephew, and the brother's wife, and all this sort of stuff. And well, what's done is done, but meanwhile, kind of just basically by accident, he stumbles into this job. He's with a bunch of day laborers, and this guy just assumes he's one of them. He needs one of the guy. Can you speak Spanish? And because the other, so he could translate for them. And he says, yeah, he can. And so there you go. That's he's in on that. And along the way, he decides he's going to rip off the guy and stuff like that. But after a while, he realizes this can actually work out for me, and it does. And things are starting to look up for him. He's got this job. He gets in a good relationship with the homeowner that wants to build some things around the house and repairs and whatnot. And it's all pretty much looking up for him. But, well, and this is because you think, oh, well, the gang is eventually going to catch up with him, and they do at some point. But the path of where he's trying to avoid that life and trying to be the better man and trying to be the man that his brother wants him to be, and trying to be really more like his brother, get a responsible position. He's impressed this guy. The guy likes him. This is the opportunity for him is opening up right in front of him. And at the same time, he takes pity on one of the day laborers. He's a guy, I think, did he come from? I'm already forgetting, Honduras or Venezuela. But, he's trying to learn English and this sort of thing. And, they they get a little friendship here, and he's going to take him under his wing and watch over him, help him out, and he does, and he's part of the crew, and they're working along. But well, the homeowner has a young wife, and well, and she's lonely and bored, and well. And a good bit of it is somewhat comical in it, but yeah, the disaster is all there. And you know, he confronts this guy, and you know tries, you know, cut this crap out. You're ruining everything. You know, you leave that alone. And but you know, it doesn't work out that way. And so, gee, I guess I am spoiling everything. But ultimately, like I said, he's a doomed character, and he is. But his ultimate doom is through no fault of his own. He's trying to set things straight and right. He comes to the point where the view of innocence is through his nephew, who looks up to his uncle so much so that he calls himself Little Sidewayz. And after a while, he's like, no, you know, Sidewayz is like the bad alter ego of George, and he doesn't. He says, no, you're not doing that, and recognizes that, and so you can put that into this is more of the heroic nature of the character, and but still he's doomed through no fault of his own. You know, he tried everything he could to try to avoid what happens, and it's ultimately this misunderstanding, really, and it's, you know, it's bad all around. I mean, you know, even the perpetrator of this, who by no means is justified just because of his jealous rage, even if he'd gotten the right guy, which he doesn't. It still is like, oh, you know, because it's revealed to him that, you know, it's not really spelled out, but it's pretty obvious. He realizes, oh, well, he screwed up. But then again, you shouldn't have done that in the first place. I mean, you can kick the old lady out, but you know, and you just don't have to hire the guy again, you know. But yeah, so yeah, the whole ultimate fate of the character here is that, you know, the tragic end that through no fault of his own, and despite all his best efforts, couldn't escape it, you know. And of course, the upshot of it would be ultimately that whatever you know, police action or what have you would happen, would just assume, well, you know, he was running with a gang and they got back at him, and that's probably what happened. So the real killer is probably going to get off scot-free. So, you know, there is that. But I was thinking of it in some ways about how, you know, the idea of tragedy, and it's almost like a Twilight Zone episode. There was quite a few incidents of that, and there is almost this supernatural business at the end. You can make of it what you will, because even his brother seems to, there's this sort of heavenly visitation there, and the brother seems to sense this or what have you, and you can have that in there. But ultimately, he's a very tragic character in that you know, he was making some bad choices. He finds a pathway out. He pursues it, and he makes a lot of effort for this, and still loses in the end. So the ultimate outcome of it is that what's his ultimate victory is that his nephew will not be faced with that sort of ordeal. One can hope, and that's for the best for poor Sidewayz, who just wanted to be George. So there's the film. I did get a brief chance to speak to the director of it, Kenneth Castillo, I believe. If I'm mispronouncing the name, I apologize, because he was a guest on a members-only stream on Latino Slant, you know, Polly's channel. And he is part of Midnight's Edge Espanol, along with the Mexican Iron Man. And so I was working that night, so I came in very late, and pretty much the final scene is what I came in on. So I promised I would watch the film in full, and I did. He had a lot of cool stories about his career and getting in. He's obviously, a lot of it was just his passion of filmmaking, and this was the first one. And but it's a very solid a plot structure and credible characters and what have you within it, which of course is a breath of fresh air today, because I'm pretty harsh on quite a few films and TV shows of late. It also features a very young David Castaneda. You might know him as Diego Hargraves. Greaves, I forget how to even pronounce that name, but that's, the Umbrella Academy. He's sort of the Latino Batman of the team. He starts somewhere, and he was in this film here, and plays the character of Saul in Sidewayz, and is pretty much the troublemaker for Force Sidewayz. But blondes, they got the better of them. There's always a catch, I suppose. But anyway, I do recommend the film. I purchased the DVD on Amazon, so you can do the same and enjoy yourself a little film that could and did. Yeah. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness, so many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.